Ouija or no? Not sure if they still do the rounds or pop up in people's childhoods, and to be honest, I can't quite remember how it came up in mine. I'm assuming a movie, as it was the 80s and there was plenty of dark themes going on. But when it did come up as a topic, I was told very sternly that I was not to go anywhere near one, and it was a serious matter. That confused me somewhat, as we weren't a religious household in any way. But as soon as you know there is an extra mysterious element added, well, of course that would pique the interest of someone like me. Once you start looking into things, I guess you would call of an occult nature, you start to see there are a few things that get lumped together. Seances, tarot reading, Ouija boards, and other things that often get put down as witchcraft, or are thought of to be in a more Victorian charlatan time. And for many years I have been, and still do remain a sceptic on many of those things as they are presented. But as with much, I review my previous reasonings and see if there could be an element of truth to something, or that we have misunderstood its meaning or purpose. And I wonder if the things that we are told to think are normal, and not to give it further thought because that would be silly. Well, I have never been one to shy away from what may seem like a ridiculous idea or concept to some, as you should well know by now if you have read my previous articles. But the main subject point for this is the concept of a Ouija board, and that it is said to be a communication device to connect you with spirits and the dead. In recent years, I wondered if it was indeed a communicator, but maybe not to the dead or ghosts, as on that subject I am also sceptical. But still, a cross-dimensional portal of sorts. And although contact with something that seems familiar may make people presume it to be the passed-over soul of their loved ones, it could also be that things there have existed in this dimension for a time, so are still part of it in some way. When they call it the other side, maybe it is, but just not in a life-after-death kind of way some believe. And of that suspected portal through letters and numbers, is it just confined to what we would expect a Ouija board layout to be? Or could it be a computer keyboard, and just pen and paper, or anything you can use to imprint words, numbers and symbols? And really, when you think of the board as a communication device, you must remember that it seems to only be a way for the other side to relay a message, but seems they are listening and watching already. And that method just taps into it for them to be able to answer directly, where we might think of questions and the centrepiece moving out to spell the reply. I wondered about the words aspect too. My line of thought went as follows. A curse. A solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. Cursive. A type of handwriting. Cursor. A movable indicator on a computer screen identifying the point that will be affected by input from the user. An obvious path, but not necessarily correct, but seems of note. That a spoken curse, if a real thing, can then be manifested using written words instead. And perhaps words had more power than we knew. It might be a reason to want everyone writing and using cursors and being taught cursive. Or not, and it really is just a normal form of communication that only is similar in word. Casting a spell. Another where words cross over in usage, also mentioned in crafty and words and meaning, and one where manifesting something using words is important, as well as perhaps extra symbolism and items to enhance the atmosphere for the imagination to help with the energy needed for it. Casting in the industry of entertainment, TV, movies, theatre and so on. Choosing the candidate that will facilitate the channeling of words. In most of those, to create an obvious illusion you know about. But in all the other areas where they specifically pick someone to be the voice or the face of something in the real world, it would appear they are also creating an illusion. Where writing, drawing, words and symbols appear to have more meaning than we think, but also statues, icons, relics, and creating a live version of things may also be a potent way to manifest things from that other side. If, of course, such things are possible. And with a rather dark theme running through society at the moment, it seems as if it just might be.